This is the Financially Simple Podcast, a show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. And now, here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
Welcome to Financially Simple. This is a finance show for small business owners about money, how it works in our business and personal lives, and how we can build wealth to be financially independent. I'm your host, Justin Goodbread, and today we continue our series on growing the value of your business. Today's episode is titled 6 Principles which can make a business more valuable to the potential buyer. So I heard this saying not too long ago. It's stuck in my mind. It's been driving my thinking. And I don't know if you've ever had that happen where you hear one thing and it just creates a little bit of a havoc, kind of just challenges your modus operandi, it just challenges the norm for you. There was actually a question. The question was, who is your customer? And many of us will automatically look at what's the person who buys our services. Yeah, but this particular individual, they were saying, no, the customer is the person who ultimately you sell your business to. Now, think about that for a second. If we are trying to build a business that's more valuable, valuable to whom? Valuable to ourselves, valuable to our family, valuable to our employees, valuable to whom? So if we start something with the end in mind, ultimately the value of our company is determined by the potential buyer in the future. So whenever I was 13 years old, I fell in love with an object. Now, this object is obviously not a person, not at age 13. Maybe that could happen, but rather a thing. Now, to say that it was love at first sight, that may be true. You know, I often use the saying, love people, use things. Too many times in America, we love things and use people. But in this particular case, I think it's somewhat justified to be able to say, love this thing. You see, my aunt purchased a royal blue. I mean, this thing's gorgeous. 25th edition, 1992 Camaro convertible. It was an RS package. It had black leather interior. I mean, this was the 25th edition series, folks. It had a CD player. Yeah. I'm dating myself a little bit, but I can remember the tape decks in the cars. This one had a CD player. And I'm telling you what, this thing, whenever I saw it, I was like, holy cow, look how pretty. Yeah, this is only one of 272 cars made like this because of the special edition. And yes, it was my 13-year-old dream. We would take rides in the car with a top down and we'd listen to the CD player. I mean, the idea that this car had a CD player was awesome. I'm just telling you, I can still remember laughing about it. In fact, I still had the CD that came with the car. It had 190 horsepower. Man, cruising on those South Georgia roads, smelling the salt in the air. It doesn't get any better than that, people. Maybe a pepperoni pizza, but this was pretty awesome. Now, when I turned 17, I actually borrowed my aunt's car, and I went on my very first date in this car. Yep, Mr. Cool. I pulled up to the girl's house, the top down, had some pretty cool country music playing. You know, if you're from the South, you got to play some country music on the CD player. Yeah, good memories here, right? Now, fast forward some 17 years. My aunt calls me out of the blue with a question. She says, Justin, would you like to buy my car? What? Hold the horses. I'm like, yeah? You mean I can actually own my dream car? Now, you have to understand, my aunt literally lived like in a 1-mile radius on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, in Brunswick area. And she lived on the island. And this car was immaculate. She didn't have any kids. She was married, but she didn't hardly drive this car anywhere. In fact, here it is, some 17 years old, almost 20 years old, and it had only 30,000 miles on this car. Let me just tell you, this car had both intrinsic and emotional value to me. Now, because of my memories that I had in this car and the connection I had to this car, I saw more value than what someone else, maybe a car collector, would see. And so ultimately, I bought the car. And I have the car. In fact, I was talking to one of my clients and he actually rebuilds cars. And we were talking about it. I said, yeah, you know, it had some plastic moldings that's cracked over time, the sun damage. I need to get them fixed. He's like, brother, bring it up here. We'll make the thing look gorgeous again. So let me tell you, friends, it's like the dream come true. Now, I tell you that story to say that our businesses are not that dissimilar. Now, yeah, we may not have a CD player installed. Yeah, I hope not, at least not in today's world. But I'm sure there's many memories in our businesses which are nostalgic in nature, which add an emotional value to our business. The goal of this series is to learn how to grow the value of our business. And I'm not talking about the emotional value of our business either. I'm not talking about because I had your first date in the business, so to speak, using it as a metaphor. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what would someone truly pay for your business? And why would they pay that? So I want to deal with the areas that affect the value of our business and what we can do to raise the value of our business. But before we get to those points, we have to ask a couple of questions. One of those questions are what we're going to answer today. What would someone analyze about your business before investing money into your business? What would they look at? What would they analyze? Why would they purchase your particular business? Now, this particular question can lead us down the rabbit hole very fast. We could get into the high weeds super fast. And in fact, the whole series, we're going to start diving down layer by layer, like we're peeling a South Georgia Vidalia onion. We're going to be pulling this thing back layer by layer and looking at it. But today I want to analyze some very high level points. And some of these are going to sound, Justin, these sound pretty common sense. But I want to just deal with a 50,000 foot view today on the particular podcast. As we work through the series, again, we're going to get the nitty gritty, but let's just deal with the high level today. So these are 6 principles. These 6 principles are paramount. I mean, they have to be top of line in driving the value of a business. So let's deal with them one by one. The first one is your business must be profitable. And with that, you're like, dude, Justin, seriously, that's a given. Yeah, you would think so, but yet many times we business owners mistake income or top line revenue, what's put as sales or income or revenue on your P&L, with profit. And that's not the case. See, I've worked with business owners who are just starting their companies and they go from generating, 0 revenue to $100 million plus annual revenue. I've seen this happen. And across the board, we business owners often focus on top line sales. In fact, many times in our strategic plan, we'll say, I want to increase our revenue by X dollars. So here's a common conversation I have. They'll say, Justin, we're a $5 million company. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. What's your profit? I think we made like $200,000 last year. Okay. Are you above your industry average or below your industry average? Now, I don't know if you've ever been in the warm South in the summertime. Whenever you hear things like crickets singing in the background, whenever I ask what is the industry average in terms of the profit or the profit margin, I usually hear crickets, like nothing, like chirping behind me. So why don't small business owners know their profits or profit margin? This is perplexing to me. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because we get too wrapped up in our business versus working on our business, the old adage there. Maybe it's because many times we just focus on top line revenue. Maybe it's our personalities as business owners. I used to think it's because many of us are drivers, but the longer I work in business, I'm finding, and I found that there's all sorts of personality profiles who own business. But for some reason, we focus on revenue, top line revenue, and very seldom do we focus on profit. So Webster defines profitable as, and here's the exact definition, it's only 5 words, yielding advantageous returns or results. So yielding good returns or results. That's what they say profit is. Many times I'll hear things like, yeah, we produced $1 million a year in sales, or we had X number of dollars in sales or income last year. But when we look at the profit of a banner year or banner sales, we realize that also the expenses have increased and our profit, the difference between what we bring into the company and what we spend out, so we call it sales or revenue versus our expenses, leaves our net income or our profit, and that's a super simple way to explain it. Many times when we have these banner years, we focus on the top line revenue, but the expenses follow, and it destroys our profit. See, friends, at the end of the day, our businesses must be profitable. The value of our businesses are dependent on this element. This is one of the fundamental elements of our business. So oftentimes when we deal with profitability, and we're going to dive into each one of these areas throughout a smattering of different approaches. I mean, we're going to hit this thing from every different angle. But many times we'll say, well, let's go out and generate more sales. Or let's go out and generate more revenue to the company. Let's get more customers. But yet in doing so, we may not be increasing our profit if our expenses are following, you see? So profitability is number one. It's one of the key facts when it comes to valuing a business. Another thing that we have to deal with is repeatable. See, once the business is profitable, can you consistently repeat those profitable results? If the income of your company is not repeatable, then the value of your company will suffer. In my early 20s, I played on the church softball team. Like many people my age, I'm 39 years old currently as I'm recording this, but like many people my age, I am truly a legend in my own mind. I think I should have my own softball playing card, just like the professionals do. See, I played shortstop and third base, and I had pretty quick reflexes. I could cover some ground with my little short legs. I was a sprinter. So while on defense, man, I love to cover the ground. And I had pretty good, not a super fast cannon arm, but I was quick enough that I could get the ball over to first base and throughout the church league at least. Occasionally you get some speedsters my age and they were just too fast. I couldn't catch them. I can remember one particular game. I remember it like it was yesterday. My dad sitting on the front row of the stands. Softball goes over third baseline. I was playing shortstop at this point. I'm tracking it down, run up to I think it was an 8-foot fence or 7-foot fence. It was a pretty high fence. And I see the softball is going to land just on the other side. I remember scaling the fence, the chain link fence in my cleats, grabbing the softball with my hand like angled backwards in the glove and coming over. In fact, on my arm, I still have the scar from that particular catch where it scratched me. But I can remember covering some ground. So that was my defense side of softball. Now, on my offense side of softball, I was average. I'm a little smaller. I'm 5'6". At the time, I weighed probably 180, 170, 80 pounds. Not as muscular as I am now, but about 170, 80 pounds. And I could hit pretty consistently. I mean, I would get on base, for every 3 rounds in softball, I'd get on base probably 2 times. I had this bad habit of hitting dead center. And in softball, if you're a pitcher, you're cussing me right now because I would hit and the ball would fly right back at the pitcher. And it made the pitcher mad, of course, right? In slow pitch softball, that's just like a no-no. So I had to intentionally make sure I angle my body so that the ball would try to go over the shortstop or the second baseman's head. And that's just the way I hit. One thing I am not good at is home runs. I think I hit like 3 home runs in my 4 years while I was on the team. However, there were guys, the minute they walked up to the plate, you just might as well say it's a home run. And so the pitchers would know these individuals. You build kind of a camaraderie. And those of you who may play on a softball or baseball team, you kind of know how this works. The pitchers would try to pitch them like inside on their hands when they couldn't hit a home run. Well, then they'd just jack it out of the field at the left field. Or they'll throw it outside, and these guys would just cream it. They go out the field and right field deep. They were able to repeat the circumstances. Me, not so much. I had to have the sun, the moon aligned just right. We had to have a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean, blowing wind from home plate straight to center field in order for my ball to get out of the infield. So the point of my story with softball is that once we have the profitability, we have to be able to repeat it. Just like those hitters who could hit the ball time and time and time again. You just know they could hit a home run and they could do it. And they were more likely going to hit a home run than hit a base hit. That's what we have to do in our business. We can hit the occasional home run. We can do that. But in our business, we have to be profitable year after year after year. The more repeatable we are in our business, the more our value is increased. It's a pretty simple calculation.
You are listening to Financially Simple, destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner.
Another thing we have to do is we have to have predictable revenue. And with that, I ask the question, can you, as a business owner, forecast the revenue stream of your business? You see, if your business is profitable and it's repeatable, then is it predictable? So this is where yearly forecasting records come into play. And if you can consistently project some key elements within a margin of error, of course. You're not saying I'm going to foretell the future. You're not trying to be a fortune teller or some prophet. But if you can project within a margin of error what your future revenue is going to be like, then when a buyer looks at the forecast in your sales packet, they're going to be more comfortable with your projections. This is one reason why I recommend that even as you start up, you do forecasting day one. Because as you are getting ready to sell your business, you're going to do some forecast. And if now you've had 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years preparing forecast that you're able to look at, here's what we said on January 1st, we wanted to accomplish this year in revenue. The following year, you compare it and you can compare that year after year after year. Then you'll have some foundation to which you can make decisions when it comes time to sell the business. So one surefire way to add predictability is to utilize a golden chicken. You said golden chicken? Don't you mean golden goose? I'm like, no. I meant golden chicken. Yeah. So we have a hobby farm and we have about 60 chickens. We don't have gooses, so I can't say golden goose. We have 60 chickens. And in our flock of chickens, we have one chicken, which lays an egg every single day. Every day, she'll lay an egg. And to my knowledge, since she started being able to produce eggs, she's been laying consistently. In fact, we kind of chuckle about her. We call her our golden chicken. So we purchased her one time, and now she consistently produces for us over and over and over again. Now, on the other hand, we could go to the store and buy a dozen eggs. But once they're gone, we have to go purchase eggs again. See, in your business, if you can develop the golden chicken that we call recurring revenue, if you can develop a model of recurring revenue, then you could drastically help in your predictability matrix. You may say, Justin, look, dude, I get what you're saying, but the business model that I run doesn't offer recurring revenue. No one has recurring revenue in my business. Friends, I can't tell you that's the furthest thing from the truth. Where there's a will, there's a way. A Nike slogan, just do it. There is a way to do this. So let me give you a few examples of some things. So I'm a consultant for a lube business, like a car and lube business where they change oil. See all sorts of lubes, transmission fluid. I think they do wiper blades, kind of like a Jiffy Lube, kind of like that. It's not a Jiffy Lube. And they're like, Justin, we cannot create a recurring revenue model. We have customers that consistently help, but we can't do a recurring revenue. I'm like, yeah, you can. Let's turn your business and have a subscription basis in there. So now what we do is we calculated out that the average person in their customer base gets their oil changed X number of times per year. We calculated what that number is, and then we just put it into a subscription model to where their customers pays X dollar a month, and anytime they need the oil change or any type of lube work, they just pull in, and there's no fee at that point. And now they have a recurring revenue model. I had a pool cleaner do the same thing. He's like, Justin, I can't. There's no one in my business that does recurring revenue. I'm like, dude, yeah, there is. Let's create one. Let's create a subscription base for your pools that you clean every week, sometimes 4 days, sometimes 7 days throughout the year. You'll have the summer months. You'll be super busy because of activity and because of algae and everything else that can grow in the pool. But during the winter months, you're not going to be as busy. So let's levelize it out for the business. Utilities do this, friends. I mean, you might have recognized it in your own utility district. They'll say the power bill, like in the summer months, will go right through the roof. But in the winter months, it'll maybe be a little lower because of a different type of supplemental heat, energy sources. So they'll create a levelized income plan. Dentists do it with a subscription basis. They'll take and they levelize out the patient's needs on the treatment plan for a period of 2-3 years, or they'll do, you know what, we're going to pay us a $15 a month or $20 a month subscription. If you have a crown, if you have a root canal, anything that needs to come up that we can handle, it's going to be included in that particular subscription. The whole idea behind it is to create a recurring revenue model because now we have predictability. Once you have predictability, now we're dealing with the fourth one, which is sustainability. And the question I ask with that oftentimes is, do you have a product mix which allows for long-term viability? So I love Silly String, not necessarily the brand Silly String. I don't think I've ever bought the brand Silly String. We usually get it from various places. I don't even know the name of the brand that we buy. It could be a number of different brands. So I'm not picking on Silly String, the brand. But whenever I visit my nieces and nephews, inevitably I'm going to stop by at a dollar store or Walmart or Target somewhere and get some Silly String. And Silly Strings, it's in a can. You push the button on top and it shoots out this foamy string that just makes everybody laugh. Unless you get it on leather, I think it is, and then it stains the leather and no one's laughing then. I know. I speak from experience on this one, friends. Yes, don't judge me. I'm having a good time. Anyways, a Silly String fight is fun, especially if it's Uncle Justin. So in recent years, I've noticed that Silly String isn't lasting as long as it used to. In fact, I got a can the other day and I can remember I opened the can up, unsealed it, shook it up like you're supposed to, pressed the button on top of it, and like a 4-foot long line of hot pink Silly String shot out and then it stopped. I was like, what? That's it? I can remember whenever my uncle did this to me, he would bring in Silly String and it would be enough that he could cover me with Silly String, like from head to toe. Trust me, I remember it. I was a recipient of this. But now the can that I purchased wasn't sustainable. It was just short-lived. Our businesses must be built to last. So there's all sorts of threats. They have to be able to survive the threats. They can't just be short bursts like that silly string. They have to be able to make it through the economic cycle. Back in 07, 08, 09, we dealt with recession. And that's like a contraction in the economy. That's one of the points on the economic cycle. So can your business make it through a recession and live to tell about it? I was talking with a business this week, a business owner, and he said, man, when the recession happened, all of our peers were falling out like flies. And here we were able to make it through. And he made it through the recovery, which is the next point. And then they were now in expansion mode, which is the third point of the economic cycle. So can your business make it through an economic cycle? Can it get it through litigation? Can it get through legislative changes of the government? Can it get through pricing pressures? Can it deal with competition? Can it deal with the technology? I mean, my goodness, exponential technology these days is changing the world. We're dealing with it everywhere. So we have to be able to make it through the particular pressures. We have to have our business on guard for sustainability. And that leads me into the last 2 points. And the second to the last one is pretty straightforward. And that is your business credible? This is pretty straightforward. I don't need to elaborate much, but basically what you're getting at is the information you're providing to your customers or to the potential buyer or the services, is the supporting data for that information, is it credible? Buyers want to know that your data is credible. They want to know, are you standing behind your offering? Can you support the claims that you're making? If the information we're using for the business, is it accurate? Is it supported? So number 5 is pretty straightforward. Is the information credible? Surefire ways to do that is get third-party auditors, third-party analysts, and that way you have an extra set of eyes on there. But number 6 is probably the biggest. And I saved this for last intentionally, and I know this is a little longer than normal in the episode, but number 6 is huge. Number 6 is the Achilles heel for many business owners. This is the one that I see that causes more problems than anything else. And the word is transferable. Transferable. Can you transfer the business? Or is the business centered around you? Are you at the epicenter of your business? See, I often see many business owners make this mistake. And truth be told, I hear people say they're small business owners, and honestly, they're lying to themselves. They're not business owners. They just happen to have their name on a document, and they're just highly paid employees who have a lot of risk. See, a true business is one that can operate without the business owner present. That's a business. Do you think that, and start naming names, do you think that Apple can live without Steve Jobs? Well, obviously it can. It's still in existence today. Steve Jobs happened to be the CEO, but Apple was more than Jobs. So whenever we start looking at our business from a transferable method, one of the weaknesses, and it's hard, friends, it's hard. I know this. I deal with this daily in my business. It's a fight that we have to constantly fight. And that is building a business that is surrounded by a good team that is able to operate without me dictating orders. You know, one of the biggest areas I see this happen is in churches. Many times in churches, you'll see a pastor who is calling the shots. And whenever the pastor leaves, the organization dies. So those are the 6 areas. And if we can add all of them together, we build what is commonly referred to as, and this is a business term that we use in valuations, it's called the prophecy of future cash flows. So we're trying to figure out with all these different things is, what does the future look like? Is it each one of those things? Is it predictable? Is it profitable? Is it sustainable? Is it transferable? Is it credible? All of these things add together to what we use is called intrinsic value. Intrinsic value is, what is somebody willing to pay you for the business? It's pretty self-explanatory. So I have to lay out the groundwork because we're going to start diving down into now growing the value of the business. But today, the biggest question that you have to take away is, as it relates to these 6 points, is your business being molded to where it can survive you? Is it profitable? Guys, with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me on the Financially Simple podcast. Hey, look, the show notes are going to be at financiallysimple.com under the heading podcast. One of my buddies told me the other day, he said, Justin, I went to your blog. Dude, it's awesome. I'm like, yeah, man. Hey, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. He's like, what? Dude, I say it in my podcast every week. Sign up for the newsletter. Some of the best writings I do is about a newsletter. In fact, we were at a funeral and my wife's grandmother passed away, and I was standing in the reception line as people come by to greet the family. And like half the people there are like, dude, I get your newsletter. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, man, that's some good stuff. So while you're there, check it out. Sign up for the newsletter. And if you like the show, subscribe, share it with other business owners. You know, like I say every week, life is hard. I've had a hard week this last 2 weeks. A lot of emotional things happening. But life is good, friends. You know that. Life is good. There is life worth living. And life can be frustrating. It can make us want to pull out our hair, which is why I cut mine so short. Money doesn't have to be. Let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Hey, y'all go out and make it a great day.
You have been listening to the Financially Simple podcast. The information in this show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor.